Welcome back to Brush and Overlay Cafe. Today I'm going to show you how to take any photo and make it look like it was shot in a professional studio. You'll not only learn how to change the background, but also how to clean up the skin, change clothes, add a little jewelry, and even tidy up messy hair. Let's get started. Here's the picture we're going to start with. This is just like a normal picture you might take in your living room with your smartphone. Nothing special. And here's the background we're going to put it on. I've included a link to both of these down below if you want to download them and practice. All right, so let's start with something that's going to instantly improve your photo. If you're wanting to do like a LinkedIn profile or social media picture, most people want to clean up the skin. So let's start with that. In the toolbar, click on the one that looks like a Band-Aid, and the first one that comes up is called the Spot Healing Brush tool. That's the one that we're going to use for any small blemishes. The Spot Healing Brush tool automatically samples from the surrounding areas when you click on a spot, and that just blends it seamlessly with the rest of the image. It's great for quick fixes on small spots. So I'm literally just clicking on any little blemishes that I want to remove, and then Photoshop will use the surrounding pixels to fill it in. You just want to make sure that that little circle is slightly larger than the area you're trying to get rid of. So you can use your right and left bracket keys to resize that circle. To work on larger areas, click back into that Band-Aid tool, and this time you're going to choose the Healing Brush tool. So we have Spot Healing and we have Healing. The Healing Brush tool requires you to manually select a source by holding the Alt key and clicking. That gives you more control over where the texture is coming from. So I'm hovering over the highlighted area of your skin. Click on the Alt key to select that area. Let go of Alt and then brush it over the top of the blemish. That'll replace that blemish with the normal highlighted skin that you're seeing next to it. Next up, I'm going to show you how to change clothes. So if you need something more formal or you just don't like what you're wearing, you can always just change your clothes in Photoshop. And now it's super easy. Choose the lasso tool. It's the one that literally looks like a lasso. And I'm just going to click and draw the general shape of a shirt around where it should be. It's important that you do the shape of a shirt. And if I do a shape of like a V-neck, then it'll most likely give me a V-neck shirt, which is what I want. Now you're going to come up here to where it says Generative Fill. If you don't see this contextual taskbar, go to Windows and then scroll all the way down and make sure that contextual taskbar is checked. So now I'm just going to click on Generative Fill and type in Business Casual Shirt and click Generate. Now Photoshop is going to take a combination of the words that I gave it, business casual shirt, and the shape that I gave it. So it's going to be pretty clear what I'm wanting here. And it's going to generate what it thinks I'm asking for based on those two inputs. So you can see it did a great job here. It gave me 3 versions of a V-neck business casual shirt. There's version 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to choose number 2. I noticed that it generated a necklace, which I actually like, but it's off center. So I'm going to show you how to create your own jewelry, and it's super easy. But first we have to remove this necklace. So guess what? Back up to those Band-Aid looking tools we go. The second one looks like a Band-Aid with stars next to it, and that's the Remove tool. This works really well. But since we're working on a generated layer where we generated that shirt, we can't edit this as is. You'll first have to right-click on the layer and choose Convert to Smart Object. Once you've done that, right-click again and rasterize the layer. Now it's ready to be edited. So now with the Remove tool, all I have to do is roughly trace over the necklace that I want to remove. Don't even have to be super neat about this. And let go, and Photoshop's going to start to remove it. If letting go doesn't work, depending on how you have it set up, you might have to click the check mark up top instead. There we go, and it looks like it just missed a little shadowy part, so no worries. You just swipe over it again, give it another go, and now the whole thing is gone. Now all I'm going to do is the same thing I did with the shirt. We're going to generate a necklace. Choose the lasso tool again, and I'm going to draw the shape of a pendant necklace, and it's going to be really a rough shape. Doesn't have to be perfect by any means. And look at that. I got mine off center too, but that's okay. I'm just showing you how to do it here. Once again, back to Generative Fill, and I'm going to type in pendant necklace. Click Generate. And once again, I'll get 3 options to choose from. There's option 1, 2, and 3. Now that we've got this image nicely cleaned up, I'm going to show you how to get it onto a new background, and I'll show you some of the hair selection techniques that the pros use. First, I'll right-click on my background layer and flatten the image. I'll even show you how to tidy her hair up a little bit. You can do this even if you're a beginner. To select my subject, I'm going to start with the selection tool. Any of these three will work. Then click the drop-down arrow next to select subject. You'll want to choose cloud if you're on Wi-Fi. This will give you a better selection. If you're not on Wi-Fi, you can go ahead and select device instead. Then click the select subject button. And there's our initial selection. Now, if I zoom in, you can see that Photoshop did a pretty good job, but it missed some of those flyaway hairs, which isn't always a problem. You don't necessarily want those, but you should leave some of them in just because it looks super unnatural if there's no flyaway hairs, no, sort of little strands of hair at all. So I'm going to show you how to clean this up and retrieve a few of those extra little hairs. To do that, I'm going to click up here on the select and mask button. If that has disappeared for any reason, just go back to one of your selection tools and it should reappear. Now within select and mask up here, we've got different views. Right now it's on black and white where you can easily see the entire selection. And up here we have onion skin. You can turn the opacity all the way down to see the original background or all the way up to see the selection on transparency, or you can place it somewhere in the middle so you can see a little of both. You can also view this with marching ants on a red or black background, or a white background, really just whatever you choose. For this image, I'm going to go back up here to onion skin. So I'm going to zoom in again and turn this down so you can see clearly that some of those flyaway hairs got missed. So let's take a look at how you retrieve those. So if you take a look at the second tool, that's called the Refine Edge tool, and it does exactly what it sounds like. It's going to refine the edge of her hair. So all you do is click and drag along those edges where the wispy hairs are, let go, and Photoshop has now retrieved some of those areas that were missed. And then you can just keep traveling around, click and drag, let go. So just do this on any areas you want to fix. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to scroll down here and you want to choose output to layer with mask. That way you'll be able to paint any of this back on or off. It's non-destructive. And now I have my selected subject on its own layer with a layer mask in case I want to make any changes. Now to put her on a new background, I'm going to click on the layer itself, not the layer mask, come up to the move tool, and I'm just going to click and drag her up to this tab with the new background. Drop it right in, and you can see that the file with my subject is way smaller than my background file. A lot of times that'll happen if maybe the background photo was taken with a high resolution camera, but your selfie or photo was taken maybe just with a cell phone. All you have to do to fix that is first right click on the layer and convert to Smart Object, then Control T on your keyboard, and then you can grab these sides of the bounding box that appears to resize and move it around to fit. Click the check mark when you're done. That's good for now. I'm going to crop it in a bit. One thing that's going to make a huge difference whenever you're changing backgrounds is make sure that the lighting matches. If you look at the original photo, it's very clear that the lighting is coming from a window on camera left. So that's why I chose a background where the lighting is also coming from camera left. Make sure those match. Now, hair selections can be tricky, so let's talk about some of the common problems and how to fix them. First of all, right here, I don't know if you can see it, but there's kind of a grayish halo area around her hair, and that's very common when making hair selections. All you have to do to fix that is grab the lasso tool, set a feathering. I'm going to choose about 15 pixels here, and then just make a general selection around the area that you want to fix. From here, go to Filter, Other, Maximum. I'm going to click in here so you can see what's going on. As I turn up the radius, what's happening is Photoshop is replacing the darker pixels with the lightest of the surrounding pixels. So it's replacing those dark areas of halo with the lighter blue pixels. So I'm going to turn up the radius level just enough so that that grayish halo starts to disappear. Now this area down here looks kind of strange. It was actually there in the original. So what I'm going to do is create a layer mask, and with a black brush selected, make sure the foreground color is black. I'm going to select a soft round brush and just come in here and paint those areas off. It just doesn't look right. If you need to resize your brush, remember you can use the right and left bracket keys to do that. The closer you get to her skin, the smaller you'll want to make your brush so that you can be a little more exact. I'm not going to get too perfect, but you'll want to take your time. Okay, so I cleaned up a few more areas around her hair. I'm going to show you a really cool trick to make it look even more natural, but first I want to crop this image. So up here is the crop tool. You can set it to whatever ratio you want in the toolbar, and then just pull in on the edges until it looks right. Okay, we're almost done. I'm going to show you a couple quick tricks to make your edit look natural every time. And one of those will be making her hair look even better. But the first trick is going to be making the color match a little better. Her skin looks way too warm for this background. So what I'm going to do is have Photoshop automatically blend the colors in these two layers, my background layer and my subject layer. The subject layer right now is a smart object. So once again, I'm going to right click and choose rasterize layer. Rasterizing just makes it fully editable. Now I'm going to go to filter, neural filters. Scroll down to the one that says harmonize and turn it on. Mine has already been downloaded, but yours may say download instead of beta. If that's the case, that's fine. Just go ahead and download it and turn it on. Now up here, Photoshop is going to ask you to select a layer. So we're going to harmonize my subject with this background layer. So that's what I'll select. Now watch her in just a second. The lighting and color on her face is going to change to match with the background. There it went. Did you see it? Now her face is a little bit brighter and a little bit cooler to match better with the background. So it looks way more natural. Now if we scroll down here, you can change the strength of this, the colors. Now, I think she's still just a hair too yellow. So I'm going to turn up the blues just a little bit. Let me go all the way up just so you can see what it does. Now I'll go back down and adjust that just enough so that she looks slightly less warm in this image. And then I'm going to set my output to Smart Filter. That means I can go back and make any changes by double clicking on the neural filter layer. So I'm just going to toggle the eyeball on and off for a before and after. Now it's time to really make that hair photo ready. She's got some nice strands of hair coming out on this side, but it needs to match on the other side in my opinion. So guess what? You can use generative fill for that too. So the same thing, I'm going to choose my lasso tool and just make a general selection around where I want those extra strands of hair to be pulled down. Then again, I'll click generative fill, type in flyaway hairs and click generate. And again, like always, I've got 3 options to choose from. Option 1, 2, and 3. I think I'm going to go with option 2. If you didn't like any of these options, you could always just click generate again for 3 additional options. And then to save your file, just go to your background layer, right click and choose flatten. Then you're going to go to file, save as, name your file, save it as either a JPEG or a PNG. Click OK, and you're good to go.